Hey guys, this is Typhorus Reacts, and welcome to part 2 of my review of Fairy Tail. This time we're going to be covering the Key of the Starry Sky arc, the Grand Magic Games arc, the Eclipse Celestial Spirits arc, briefly, and the Sun Village arc, and the Tartarus arc. 5 arcs in all, though 2 of them I'm going to basically rush through. Well, 3 technically, but well, 2 of them because I barely remember them, and the 3rd one because it sucks. So, yeah. But yeah, let's just get right back into this whole thing, just so there's not too much of a disparity to when I do the full version of this thing. So yeah, all right. So we're on episode 123. It's been 7 long years since the main fairy tale group disappeared off the face of the map when Acnologia destroyed Tenro Island. And meanwhile, back in Fairy Tail's been kind of down in the dumps. They've had to, since basically all of their best wizards disappeared, they've basically been subjected to having to get money from other guilds, other abusive guilds who literally give them money and protection in exchange for doing whatever the heck they want to Fairy Tail, basically. And yeah, it's been rough for these people and for these not even side characters for the past 7 years, but they're still family. So yeah, then so they've been constantly on the search for the rest of their guild, but soon a figure of just this projection of a young girl, just kind of guides them to where Tenro Island used to be, and turns out the entire island's still there, and along with everyone else. But it turns out everyone else, they haven't aged a single day. As it turns out, the spell that they had supposedly used when trying to defend against Acnologia was the third other great spell that Fairy Tail members can use. That's Fairy Sphere, which it's the ultimate defensive magic. It kept even time out, I guess. So that's why nobody there aged a single day. So yeah, then so they go back to with the newly found confidence and the determination to avenge their guild for the crap they had to suffer throughout all those 7 years. They went back to Magnolia to go back and to their guild and beat the crap out of the abusive guild. So yeah, that's really all that happened. So yeah, then there's I think there's a few more filler episodes, but there is one more episode. It's episode 124. Basically reveals that they've been gone for 7 years, and Lucy's probably like, my dad's trying to be a better person. He might be worried sick about me. So she goes to try and find him, and it turns out that only a few months prior, her dad died. And it's freaking sad. And we later learn that throughout the 7 years, her dad paid off the rent of the apartment she had, and had sent her a gift every birthday. And it's so sad. It's like his redemption arc was just cut off early, but by the cold hand of death. But he at least proved that he can be a better person. He was a better man than he ever was before, than he ever was after Lucy's mom died. So yeah, but now then during these next few filler episodes, we learn that we come across basically a few random missions, but during those few random missions, they come across the most dangerous, the most foul, the most evil villain group they've ever encountered. the Jigglebutt Gang. The I'm so sorry. But yes, yet again another meme, just like Ichiya. Ichiya is the only one who could stand even a remote bit of chance. I'm so sorry. But now, let's get into the Key of the Starry Sky arc, which, while it is technically a filler arc because it didn't appear in the manga, it is canon to the story. It's canon. Yeah, it's yeah, Mashima figured, you guys are getting kind of close to the manga. So here's this entire storyline. Here's this 25 to 26 episode storyline that I just didn't have time to make. So here we go. So this is one of the storylines where I can't remember too much of it. All I know is I know that it involved a lady named Michelle, and she actually turns out to be a doll that was brought to life that once belonged to Lucy. And, it's kind of sad and all that. The Irration Seis return, and they actually come back with the guy from the villain from the first arc. I can't remember his name. I probably could, but if I really put my mind to it, but I'm not going to. So yeah, lots of things happen, and yeah, Fairy Tail wins at the end of the day, but yeah, it after a lot of feels happen. So okay, so after that arc is over, we come into what technically starts the Grand Magic Games arc, and we learn about a guild called Sabretooth. They were the ones who basically replaced Fairy Tail's #1 guild spot after winning a lot of Grand Magic Games. And this guild includes, I'm gonna name off the characters, I guess, that are important. The Master Giemma, the Master's daughter, Minerva. Then there's Sting and Rogue, the White and Shadow Dragon Slayers, and it turns out they're third-generation Dragon Slayers because they were not only raised by dragons, but they also had a Dragon Slayer Lacra put into them, which makes them third generation. So, yeah. And so, there we go. That rounds out our 7 Dragon Slayers. So, yeah. Then, there's also Rufus. He's a memory make magic. He can literally create any kind of magic just by his memory alone. So then there's Orga. He's a lightning god slayer. So yeah. So then there's then last but not least Yukino, who's another celestial spirit wizard. And while she may seem a bit emotionless at first, turns out she really does love her celestial spirits, and she's the nicest person in that entire guild at the moment. So, you know what? Not even at the moment. She is the nicest person in that entire guild. So, yeah, then, yeah, I think that's pretty much all of the main cast of Sabretooth that at least matter. So yeah, to restore Fairy Tail's honor and to, make up for those 7 years they missed, Fairy Tail makes its own team and to join this next tournament named the Grand Magic Games, which basically boosts Wizards' popularity, and that's really the only that's really its only purpose to popularity, money, and yeah, just kind of puts you up in the official rankings, I guess. But yeah. But during this, they had originally chosen, of course, Natsu, Gray, Lucy, Urza, and Wendy. But then Wendy was incapacitated by unknown means, and yeah, so Elfman briefly replaces Wendy and to join up with the Fairy Tail team, and they managed to qualify for the Grand Magic Games. But they still got last place, so in the qualifying rounds at least. So yeah, then we get basically the teams that are included in this, and okay, we got Fairy Tail with Natsu, Lucy, Gray, Urza, and Elfman. So then I believe there's Lamia Scale with Leon's back, yay. Then Then there's Mermaid Heel with a girl named Liliana, who was actually one of Urza's friends back from the Tower of Heaven. And third best girl, Kagura. Second best girl was Kana. I forgot to mention that. But yeah, then I call Kana a useless bisexual because I cannot call her a useless lesbian because that would be admitting defeat. So yeah, then so yeah, Kagura and all and them and Mermaid Heel. Then we got let's see, Blue Pegasus, of course, with the god, the mad lad, Ichiya, and his entourage. Let's see, I'm trying to forget. Okay, we got Fairy Tail, Blue Pegasus, Lamia Scale, Mermaid Heel. Okay, so then there's another guild that shows up, Raven Tail. Basically, they're led with its master, Ivan, who is Makarov's son, who was previously mentioned, really only mentioned, but never really shown other than a brief glimpse in the Battle of Fairy Tail arc, because, you know, he's Laxus's dad. So, yeah, and, yeah, Ivan kind of turned evil and was banished from the guild because of it. So, yeah, then, yeah, with it, and his entourage includes Flare. I only mention her because she's important later. Basically, if you can't tell already, like, Mashima, like, whenever he makes a female villain, he's like, you'll be redeemed. So, you'll be redeemed later. So, yeah, then there's Fairy Tail Team B. What? Turns out you can make multiple teams for this whole thing, and Makarov made 2 teams. And Fairy Tail Team B, consisting of Gaggiel, Loxus. Oh yeah, Loxus is back. I forgot to mention that. He was reinstated by Guild Arts, who briefly became the Guildmaster before handing it back to Makarov. Then, okay, Juvia, Loxus, Mirajane, I believe Kana, I think, at least I think, and okay, I gotta do this again. Okay, Gaggiel, Kana, Juvia, Loxus, and to all of our surprises, Mistigan. And here's where I gotta explain. I completely forgot. During these 7 years, like, everyone outside of, you know, the Fairy Tail guys who got trapped in the Fairy Sphere, they had improved in their own ways. 7 years is a long time, and they improved their own magic, so by the time, you know, the main cast came back, they were kind of behind. So they were met up with a group called Crime Sorcière, which includes Ultir, Meldy, remember those guys on Tenor Island, and most surprisingly, Jalal, who I guess Ultir and Meldy broke out of jail, and now they basically formed this little, I guess technically Dark Guild, to repay for, you know, the sins they caused and all that. You know, basically, if you're a previous villain, you're gonna end up at Crime Sorcière for at least some point. So yeah, so to make up for it, Ultir unlocks their, like, second origins, which is basically another magic power that's that's also welled up inside you, but you don't usually use. So second origin basically increases their power to the point where, yeah, now they can come on point with everyone else. So yeah, I forgot to mention that. And so back to Mistigan suddenly being here. Turns out it's Jalal in disguise, which I guess makes sense because, you know, Jalal and Mistigan were the same person, just one was in Edelus and one's in Earthland. So, you know, yeah, that makes sense. It's a bit disappointing because because Mistigan is an infinitely better character than Jalal is. But yeah. So, yeah, but anyway, so the first round keeps going, and then nothing really of interest happens. Fairy Tail kind of getting their butts kicked, either because Sabretooth is a lot better than originally expected, or because Raventail screws them over. So yeah, because like I said, Raven is basically Fairy Tail's mortal enemy. So, or at least they declare themselves to be Fairy Tail's mortal enemy. So yeah, then first real victory, I guess, comes when the king and all of them were setting up the next matches, the one-on-one matches. They were the king wanted Bacchus to face off against, oh, I can't remember the name. I know it starts with an E, and so the guy, and so his bodyguard is like, oh, okay, I'll do that, and so he puts Bacchus up against Elfman when it really should have been Urza. And nobody really thought Elfman was gonna win, simply because Urza's like, yeah, Bacchus even gives me a lot of trouble. Oh yeah, I completely forgot. Quattro Cerberus. That's the guild Bacchus belongs to. I completely forgot to bring them up. Oh well, Bacchus is really the only one that matters in that guild. So yeah, yeah, and that's really the only thing that's gonna matter. So yeah. So Elfman, with the strength he's been training for all this time, he managed to put up like an ultimate defensive move by becoming like a giant lizard beast, because his magic's beast takeover magic, and while Buck is just wailing on him, they're both taking damage basically, and it's one of the most epic moments, I'm not gonna lie, in like the entire show. Elfman's whole thing has been like I'm a real man, and so manly, that kind of stuff. He's basically Kirishima if Kirishima was a good character. No, I'm just kidding. Kirishima's a great character, but still, they're both him and Elfman would be best bros, and they were basically, Kirishima from My Hero Academia. I should elaborate, because if some people don't know. So they would be best bros, and they would be commenting on how things are so manly. So so yeah. If you haven't watched the show, yeah, Elfman's whole thing is basically Kirishima's whole thing from My Hero Academia. So when both combatants are finally on their knees, basically completely out of magic, Bacchus gets up on his feet and says, I win! And everyone just is like, oh man, Fairy Tail's lost again. But then Bacchus just goes, okay, man. Your name's Elfman, right? I gotta admit, you falls on his back and says, are a real man. And Elfman wins, and it's amazing, and I love it. It's such a great moment, and I love it. Of course, then the next round comes, and Urza completely blows him out of the water, but Elfman was kind of the catalyst, and Urza was the straw that broke the camel's back, I guess if that's what you want to call it. But yeah, then I should, though. I guess, but that's later on. I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm looking at like the episode's names like back here, but just so I don't get off track like I did with Tenro Island. So yeah, then we got our fan service episode with Mira Jane versus Jenny, of course, because both are models, of course, Mira Jane, yeah, Jenny's just no good at fighting, so Mira Jane completely knocks her out because, demon. So then we come to basically the first day of the Grand Magic Games is kind of over. So Elfman's so beaten up that he can't fight anymore. So Wendy's now better, and she replaces him. So then we have okay, wait, the first day is not over yet. We got Kagura versus Yukino, and despite Yukino's best efforts, she brings out pretty much every celestial spirit she has, but Kagura still soundly defeats her, and for her defeat, Sabretooth basically humiliates Yukino and kicks her out of the guild, and Yukino's replaced with Minerva. So yeah, it's oh boy, it really makes you hate Sabretooth, really. And Natsu thinks so too, because later on when Natsu hears what exactly Yukino was subjected to, he goes and tries to fight Sabretooth all on his own, which he kind of does. He even takes on the Master and gets a few good hits in, and would have probably destroyed that entire guild if Minerva hadn't stepped in with Happy as a hostage. So yeah. Then it's revealed that meanwhile Urza's catching up with Miliana, the one, girl who was in Mermaid Heel, past with, Tower Heaven and stuff. And it's revealed that her and Kagura want revenge against Jalal and want to murder him. So yeah, that's fun. And Urza's just like, oh no. Because, they have no idea about Jalal's possession or memory loss or any of that. They don't know of Jalal's, character arc to this point. So yeah. So now that Fairy Tail's got a winning streak again, we come to the next day of the Grand Magic Games, and that's where Urza and the rest of them decide. The next round is decided by a complex game of how many monsters they can beat in so many rounds. It just kind of flipped back and forth. But Urza decides to break the game entirely and decided, okay, we get a choice of how many monsters we get to fight out of 100. I'll choose to battle all 100 of them. So she just completely breaks the game, and the Grand Magic Games staff are just kind of scrambling to like, okay, we gotta make another game we gotta make another game. But yeah, so Urza goes up against those 100 monsters and kills all 100 of them. So, that's fun. Then the next game to replace, so we can actually get placements now because Urza clearly won. Was this magic detection device? I guess it can detect how much magic power you have and you gotta unleash pretty much all the strongest attack you have on it, and yeah, so it goes all the way from 0 to 9,999. So yeah, then so all the contestants go so far, like Miliana got around like 300. Orga, the Lightning Godslayer, he got around like 3,000. Then, so he was clearly the strongest one. And then Jura from Lamia Scale, right? Yeah, Lamia Scale, comes along and because he's one of the 10 Wizard Saints, unleashes his strongest attack and got over 8,000. So then, so next is Kana. Now, Kana's never been the strongest Fairy Tail member. Like, she's fairly powerful, but she's never been the strongest. And then, turns out, that floating girl who had directed everyone to Tenro Island after the 7-year time skip was Mavis, the first guild master. So yeah, so it's just a projection, like a ghost thing kind of thing, and only Fairy Tail members can see her. But yeah. Yeah, so once so she's also with them Fairy Tail, like cheering everyone on. And so when Kana steps up to the device, Mavis tells Makarov, oh, don't worry, Kana may be drunk right now, because that's Kana's whole thing, but she's got Gildarts' blood running through her. Just let her have this. And so it's revealed with that Kana, that Mavis had granted Kana fairy glitter for this special occasion, and behold, the one-time fairy glitter actually works. So so she uses it on this device and completely destroys the device, granting her a total score of 9,999. Probably more than that, but still. So Fairy Tail's just completely on top again. So now we have so the next fight, this next day is just littered with fights, and the Grand Magic Games just needs a video all on its own, but I'm not going to do that. I'm rushing through this as quickly as I can. So then we have Loxus versus Alexei, one of the one of the guys from Raventail, and when the fight starts, Alexei puts up an illusion so that everyone around them just sees this whole nother fight going on, and while he and Loxus can talk, and it's revealed that Alexei, who's been a masked figure, is actually Ivan, the Master, aka the Master's not allowed to be in these fights. So he's already breaking the rules, and the rules start breaking even further when literally all of Raventail come down to fight Loxus. And apparently Ivan's looking for something called a Luminhistoire, which is something that Fairy Tail apparently has in its basement, but only Masters know about it. And Loxus, of course, has no idea what that is, and Ivan's whole shtick in this fight was, tell me what you know about the Luminhistoire, or, be annihilated. So Loxus is just like, even if I did know you're a deadbeat dad, I'm not gonna give it to you. And Loxus's whole character arc just kind of cements this one moment where he not only takes out his dad, but the rest of Raventail, dispelling the illusion and revealing what a bunch of lousy cheaters they are. So, yeah. Then we have, then the next one is Wendy vs. Shelia, the Sky Dragon Slayer versus the Sky God Slayer. Shelia is also from Lamia Scale. So, yeah, and then we have Naval Battle, where Minerva truly proves that she is the worst girl at this moment. Minerva, like I said, Mashma likes to make female villains and then say, you'll get a redemption arc. So, yeah. And she brutalizes Lucy. Yeah, it's brutal, and pretty much basically causes Fairy Tail to go like, yeah, you've pissed off the one guild you don't want to piss off. So, yeah, the Sabretooth has been a jerk before. This just took it too far. So yeah, then we go to the moment we've all been waiting for, because we're skipping over Ichia's fight and then Leon's fight with Kagura. So, yeah, then we get to the 3-part battle of Natsu and Gajeel versus Sting and Rogue, and it's great, and it's just the perfect escalation of just battles, and just kind of they keep going and going and going and going until finally it all cements in the last episode, where Natsu, because he wants to prove a point, and completely crush these guys for making fun of his friends and Lucy, because of course, and just completely obliterates both Sting and Rogue, and Sting and Rogue even can access Dragon Force at will. Natsu defeated them without even going Lightning Dragon mode. Lightning Flame Dragon mode. So, yeah. It's great. So, yeah, but then, while this is going on, a figure has been watching. The whole point of Crime Sorcier being here to begin with is because Zeref's power has been weird as of late, and it kind of mostly centers around the Grand Magic games. So they're trying to figure out what the heck this is all about. So a figure has been watching this, and when that figure shed a tear during Natsu's fight with Sting and Rogue, it got Jalal, Ultier, and Meldy to be like, oh, there it is, and you start to wonder what the heck is going on. So Jalal finally catches up to this figure at the end of the episode, even after the credits, I believe, and he realizes the figure is a female, and then the figure takes off her hood, and Jalal says, "It's you?" And then Fairy Tail, the first series ends, and we don't really figure that out until the next season. Now, I need to mention this because then after this then Fairy Tail took a bit of a break, I guess, and let's see. Yeah, it took about a year long break where they where they yeah where they switch studios for a bit, and even though the animation style is kind of ramped up a lot of the time, it is a bit of a downgrade, I'll admit. The colors got a bit dull, but it did look closer to, Mashima's whole design thing for the manga, so it wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. It wasn't, like, distracting enough. So yeah, then I guess this is kind of a separate arc all on its own, but the Grand Magic Games are still going on, so it's still part of the Grand Magic Games arc, and it keeps going for just a bit under 30 episodes. So yeah, and it's revealed that the government has been collecting magic from the Grand Magic Games for so many years, trying to activate something called the Eclipse Gate, which apparently is a time travel device where they plan to use it and to go back in time and kill Zeref, basically, before he can do anything bad. And then, which will cause so many paradoxes that I just don't know what the heck would happen then. So yeah, then they still need celestial wizards for such a thing. And turns out when Yukino got kicked out of the guild and was looking for a place to go, she went to the government to try and became a knight there and volunteer herself for the project. But turns out this whole government thing is so under wraps that not even the right hand of the king knows about it. So he arrests the main bodyguard dude and Lucy and Yukino. So because they're celestial spirit mages. So then once Fairy Tail hears about this, they split up into one team to go into the castle to try to get Lucy back, and of course Natsu is part of that group, because of course, and I had to bring that up. And the other is the one to participate in the last round of the Grand Magic Games, which is just a free-for-all. Basically, the teams just scatter, and then they try to, take out as many people as possible. There's a point system and everything. So, yeah, then, Gray takes on Rufus from Sabretooth, because they're both Maker Mages, I guess, and manages to pull off a win, which was pretty nice. And then, Mavis is orchestrating this whole event, and she's known as the Fairy Tactician. She was a war tactician back in the day, so she's got this. Then meanwhile, back in the castle, they got that Fairy Tail rescue team, and Lucy, Yukino, and all them got sent down to the underground, basically, where the executioners lay in wait, trying to, waiting to execute more people, but, they're, during a series of events, they're taken out. Then, let's see, what other fights are there? There's, I believe Julia was taking on Shelia. Then, let's see. I'm trying not to get to the main event that I'm usually hyped for first, so, I guess this is kind of getting ahead of myself, but, Loxus and Orga face off, but then Jura comes in out of nowhere, and it looks like a three-way battle is going to be going on, but then Jura one-shots Orga, and now it's just Loxus versus Jura, and, yeah, there's, Gashiel versus Rogue, and Gashiel manages to talk Rogue down, but then a mysterious figure inside Rogue's shadow just takes him over, and during the fight, while Gashiel's getting his butt kicked in, Gashiel manages to eat Rogue's shadow, and become an iron shadow dragon. So kind of like how Natsu's a lightning flame dragon. Yeah. So there's Gashiel's second element. And proceeds to promptly kick the crap out of Rogue. So yeah, and whoever possessed Rogue fled for his life. And then there's the fight. Ooh man, the fight that I was most hoping for, and it was Urza versus Kagura versus Minerva. And apparently Kagura's entrance into this fight was unexpected for Mavis, because earlier on, Kagura got a glimpse of who Mystigan really was, and managed to hold herself back, but realized that Jalal was kind of being sheltered by Fairy Tail, and was wondering why the heck they would do that, and why the heck would Urza do that if she was involved in the Tower of Heaven too. So Kagura attacks Urza in this fight, and then they're both interrupted by Minerva, who was Urza's target. So yeah, it's a three-way fight. It only lasts for it doesn't last very long. The three-way battle does, but it's still amazing. It's an amazing spectacle to look at. So then it's revealed that Minerva has Miliana hostage. So yeah, Urza and Kagura are forced to fight each other, and at the end of the day, while Urza, I guess, kind of loses, Kagura still is. She manages to talk Kagura down, explaining Simon's sacrifice and all that, and yeah, but then Minerva comes out of nowhere, takes Kagura's sword and just impales Kagura through the stomach, and because Minerva's the worst at the moment. So yeah, then so Urza takes on Minerva now, despite being incredibly weakened. Yeah, and I'll get back to this whole round later, but okay, wait, then Gray comes in and helps Juvia against Shelia and Leone, so yeah, 2-on-2 battle there. So anyway, back at the castle, they managed to beat the Executioners, and on their way to escape from this underground dungeon, they run into the figure that had been watching them, the figure that Jalal had run into, and it's revealed to be Lucy. More specifically, a Lucy from the future, of the not-too-distant future, I guess. So, basically what had happened in Lucy's timeline was that when the eclipse... When they were at some point while they were trying to open the Eclipse Gate, I think that's what it was called, the Eclipse Gate, what had happened was that night, an entire, an army of dragons just appeared out of nowhere and torched everything. So, yeah, then, it was quite a disaster. Pretty much everyone in Fairy Tail died, except for Lucy and Levy, and yeah, and so Lucy, being a celestial spirit mage, manages to go to open the Eclipse Gate and go back in time to this day, where she, where, yeah, yeah, to warn everyone about what was gonna happen. So basically, yeah, we have a few moments, and then meanwhile, okay, so now back to the battle. I just had to get that out of the way first. Then back to the man, we're almost 40 minutes left, and we haven't even gotten to the end of the Grand Magic Games. So we're 40 minutes in. So yeah. Anyway, so I probably shouldn't have said that for the sake of full video that's coming out tomorrow, but whatever. So then we got back at the battle. They managed to win their fights. Loxus barely managed to pull through against Jura. Basically, it was a close victory for them all. Urza, it's revealed that Urza hadn't even unlocked her second origin yet. Back those previous fights she's been doing, that's just been regular Urza. Now she unlocks her second origin, unlocks Nakagami armor, which is basically now her ultimate armor, and just completely obliterates Minerva. And then, but turns out Sting hasn't been doing any battling. The reason why is because basically Lecter has been being held hostage, and he believes that because the power of emotions, because it's canonical that, you know, magic can be further enhanced via your emotions. He believes that, you know, through this he can become he can become powerful enough to take out, you know, Fairy Tail. So, but when all of the Fairy Tail team comes up to him, battered and bruised, but determined to still fight, he finally sees why Fairy Tail hasn't fallen yet. Because they had their own friends to fight for, just like Sting did. And even if Sting were to win this fight, would it really feel like he won? So at the end of the day, he fell to his knees and surrendered. And Fairy Tail won the Grand Magic Games. So yeah, then it's revealed that along with Miliana, Lecter had been, you know, held captive with Miliana. So, you know, it was a tearful. I forgot to mention Lecter and Froge. They're also Exceeds. They're Sting and Rogue's Exceeds, respectively. So yeah, Lecter had been taken hostage. That's what happened to him. So I completely forgot to mention them. So yeah, then yeah, but despite the Grand Magic Games now being over, it's not quite over, because back in the castle, Rogue shows up. Not just any Rogue though, future Rogue, because when he had also come through the Eclipse Gate, and apparently due to the Eclipse Gate being opened, due to the Eclipse Gate being closed, everything was doomed, according to him. And meanwhile, Lucy had no idea. Future Lucy had no idea of this. So yeah, that was according to Future Rogue. But turns out he's got his own agenda. So it turns out Lucy's the one that closed the gate in his future, so he aims to kill present Lucy. And despite Natsu's effort to try to stop it, he failed. And while Lucy is killed, it's the future Lucy that jumped and took the hit. And as a result, future Lucy dies. And yeah, it's... Oh man, it hurts. It really hurts. It's the closest we get to a main character dying, but it still hurts. And while it may not be, you know, the Lucy as we know it, you know, it still hurts. It hurts Natsu too. He goes ballistic, and even though he doesn't win the fight, he manages to hold off Rogue long enough to allow the others to escape and to open the gate. And while the gate is opened, it turns out this gate to the past allows the dragons to come in instead, and 7 dragons pop out, and they manage to close the gate before it's too late. But this is Rogue's agenda, basically, his secret agenda, to get this dragon army to go and hunt down Acnologia and kill him. You know, Acnologia. So, you know, the Fire Dragon King. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, at the beginning of this new series, it's revealed by a dead dragon that they managed to revive as a ghost briefly, and, you know, talk to him. Acnologia was once a human who with Dragon Slayer magic, who eventually killed so many dragons and used Dragon Slayer magic so much that he became a dragon. And apparently that's a fate for all Dragon Slayers. So, yeah. So, anyway, so Rogue, future Rogue, you know, even though these 7 dragons were the ones that got back, you know, that came back, and not an entire army, thankfully, but still 7 dragons, Rogue's just like, yeah, I can do this. So, as the dragons start torching the capital, Crocus, I think it's called, so it's pretty much revealed that no matter what the other wizards do, nothing can really hurt the dragons, except for one thing, Dragon Slayer magic. So, but the problem is, there's only 6 dragons, and Dragon Slayers, and 7 dragons, and we're just like, but, and Rogue points this out, he's just like like, but there's 7 dragons, only 6 of you. What do you plan on doing? And Natsu just goes, oh no, I can hear the 7th one coming. And and so what Jalal had been doing the whole time was he went to to Mest, remember him, the Magic Council guy, and Mest partner, I can't remember his name, dang it, I can't remember his name. He's basically Mest's best friend in the council guard, basically. Lahar, yeah, Lahar was his name. And they managed to free Cobra from the Ration 6 for this occasion. And yeah, to take down a dragon for once. So yeah, 7 Dragon Slayers have now arrived on the battlefield. They still can't do anything, but they're able to damage the dragons now. And they even managed to turn one of the dragons because this dragon was made entirely out of fire, and when Natsu started eating it, the dragon went, wait a minute, you're Igneal's son, aren't you? And, because this dragon was apparently a subordinate of Igneal, Natsu's dragon dad. So yeah, he managed just like, oh, okay, I'm on your side now, basically. So, yeah, alright, so basically lots of things happen, and then one by one, Fairy Tail members start dropping like flies. I was being killed. Like, probably the one that shocked everyone the most happened when Gray did so, sacrificing his life to save Juvia, and then just other Fairy Tail members just keep dying all over the place. And Ultear decides to make the ultimate sacrifice using her time magic, which is basically what that is. Usually she can only reverse time for inanimate objects. Like she can turn by reversing or fast forwarding time. She can turn ice, for example, into water, or even turn into water or something like that. So that's how she can use time magic. But using a lost spell that she had learned, she manages to use her time magic to try and uses basically all of her life energy to try and reverse time to a point where everything wasn't as crazy as it is now. And she manages to turn back time a full 2 minutes. And she basically almost dies believing that she had accomplished nothing. But within those 2 minutes were the Fairy Tail members' deaths, and everyone got a sense of deja vu and managed to avoid their deaths. So, but now, Fairy Tail the fight's not over, but everyone avoided death. So, yeah, then, and afterwards, Natsu manages to, destroy the Eclipse Gate, and Future Rogue reveals why he turned down this path. It's because, Frosh apparently was killed in his time, apparently by Gray. So, yeah, it's a bit of a thing. So, yeah. But now everything's over, and then they have one big party, and so they go back to Magnolia, and it's revealed that, Ultear's not quite dead, but she's an old woman now with no magic capabilities, basically. So, yeah. Yeah, but everything worked out fine. And then, once they get back, they're hailed as heroes, and, Fairy Tail's got its honor back and all that. Jobs start pouring in and all that. And then we switch over to Zeref for the first time since the 7-year time skip. And it's revealed that, and Mavis apparently knows who he is because she floats down next to him and starts talking to him. And Zeref, I will never forget this conversation because it's easily one of the best ones in Fairy Tail. And it's apparently Zeref can see her, or at least still interact with her. He says, I can neither see your face nor... He says, I can neither see your face nor hear your voice, my dear Mavis, but I know you're still there watching me with those big, disdainful eyes. And, yeah, it's kind of... at some point you realize how is he able to do this? He's not a fairy tale member, but then you realize, well, I mean, he's been around for like 400 years, so that's his whole thing. He's immortal, and it's revealed that I think it might have been revealed at some point, but apparently he's cursed with immortality, and never being able to die. No matter, you could cut your own head off and not be able to die. And the more you care about life, the more life is taken away around you. So yeah, that's his whole thing, and so he pretty much stopped caring about life, or at least has tried to, and stopped trying to love, and because that would stop his curse basically. And he basically reveals to Mavis that through this he will be able to he plans on well, Mavis was like, well, this, so are you out calling for a war? And Zareth goes, well, not quite, more like a one-sided annihilation. So yeah, that's Zareth's whole thing. So now we get to the next arc, the Eclipse Celestial Spirits arc. We're not going through this because it sucks. I mean, there's good elements to it. There is some stuff that I would find that's actually kind of funny, such as like one of the evil spirits like fights with Kana, and it's basically a Yu-Gi-Oh duel. It's funny, but still, let's just skip on to the Sun Village arc, which I'm also going to rush through because honestly I don't remember too much of it. I know it's where Flare finally gets her redemption arc and all that, and it's really only it's really only build up to the Tartaros arc, which is okay. Let's just start. Okay, Sun Village arc. We meet dang it, I can't remember his name, but I know he's apparently one of the 4 gods of Ishgard, who's top 4 wizards of in all officially recognized wizards in Fiore. And yeah, it turns out he's one of the founding members of Fairy Tail. He only lived this long because he's basically a tree person. So yeah, then we get this whole Sun Village mission thing that he assigned Fairy Tail to, and then we get to the Tartaros arc, which is, in my opinion, the best arc of Fairy Tail, and basically my main point throughout this entire review right now is that, well, this contains the second part, the arcs I'm talking about in this series of this video, at least this part at least, is this contains some of the best and worst of Fairy Tail. I say worst only because of Eclipse Celestial Spirits, but Key of the Starry Sky arc is easily the best filler arc. Grand Magic Games and Tartaros are my top 2 favorite arcs. Then there's the Sun Village arc, which I don't really care about. So yeah. Okay, just a second, guys. Okay, sorry about that. I hope I don't encounter any more things like this in the third and final part. So yeah. So basically, next up is the Tartaros arc, aka the best arc ever in Fairy Tail. So yeah, then okay, so we started off with a bang too, because the entire council blows up. The entire wizard council blows up and kills basically everyone except Mest, who managed. I guess his real name is Dornbolt, but I'm going to be calling him Mest because that's easier to say. So, and it also kills, but it does kill Lahar, aka a character who's been around longer than Mest and had just as much screen time. And even though he's only a minor character, he still died. It kind of had an impact. So, yeah. And it's revealed that who's attacking them is Tartaros, aka those, remember the Barum Alliance back in the first series? Basically, yeah, Tartaros is now at the top, and when Mest goes looking for answers, asking Cobra, back in his cell, Mest, he informs Mest that no one in the Tartaros Guild is human. They're all demons from the Book of Zareth. So yeah, that's already a big yikes. So yeah, so in the prologues, it's revealed that that apparently Tardos is trying to kill all of the former Magic Council members, and because apparently they all got a body link spell attached to them, even the former ones do, that are, yeah, are attached to this thing called Face, which we don't know quite what it does yet, but we'll soon find out. So during this process, one of the and apparently these demons use curses, not magic. And what does that mean? Not really sure, but basically what it implies is curses are magic but better. So yeah, then so while one of the demons goes off to kill another one of the one of the former Magic Council members, Loxus comes in to help him out, and while he does defeat the demon like pretty much self-destructs and explodes a bunch of Bane particles, which are basically anti-magic particles, I guess. And and so Loxus is forced to, in order to save lives, he inhales pretty much every single Bane particle in the air. A lot of people still die, but he still managed to keep the casualty count low, and managed to keep him and the Thunder Legion from dying, but he's still completely out of it for a while. So right off the bat, one of Fairy Tail's heavy hitters is down, and then so pretty much Fairy Tail decides, okay, they attacked our own, it's time to declare war. So I completely forgot to mention, it's probably good that I'm talking about this on a shirt, because this is the Tartaros arc shirt. So yeah, you can see down here, the Tartaros Guild, they're upside down in this, but I can easily look down and see them right side up. So yeah, anyway, so Natsu, Lucy, and Happy and Wendy, I forgot, go to one of the former Magic Council members, and they're attacked by a demon named Jackal, and Natsu deals with them pretty handily. Jackal's defeated at the end of the day, but he's the only one they're the only group that's successful. Everyone else came to the former Magic Council members, and all of them but one are dead. Already dead. So yeah, the only one who wasn't dead was Mira was the one Mira and Urza went to check on, and the only reason he's not dead is because after he poisoned their drinks, he reveals that he's in cahoots with Tartaros. So yeah, fun. So yeah, then meanwhile the Irration Seis, because Cobra gave Mess that information, the Irration Seis were freed, but before Brain can do anything, he's killed by Cobra, because, Brain's kind of a manipulative son of a bitch. So, yeah. And now Cobra's like, oh, okay, well, time for us to earn our freedom now. And then, what do you know? Jalal and Meldy show up, to offer them a place in Crime Sorcière. And while they do fight initially, and Midnight puts Jalal under an illusion, Jalal, in order to escape this illusion, literally blinds himself. Literally cuts into his own eyes and blinds himself, and takes them all down blind. So, yeah. And we get a lot of cool stuff, and yeah, it's great. So, at the end of the day, Irration Seis joined them, so it's revealed that Rusty Rose is apparently still alive, back when, Grimoire Heart, and while he tries to recruit Meldy again, but, with his, but he's clearly just living in the past, and Meldy just keeps on refusing him, and eventually Rusty Rose is defeated, and he's offered a place in Crime Sorcière, but who knows what happens to him. I don't actually remember what happens to him after that. I hope he joins Crime Sorcière in the 100-year quest, at least. So, yeah, because he's got cool magic. So yeah, then yeah, then so okay, so now we're taking the fight directly to Tartaros because Elfman was apparently put under a spell and he was about to destroy the entire guild, and I guess he does succeed, but Kana manages to stop him and you know put everyone else in a card and yeah, and they manage to fly up to Tartaros on their giant flying cube thing. So yeah, and so they fight there. Oh man, there's just so much to talk about in the Tartaros arc. I kind of have no choice but to rush through it. So basically, there's a lot of things that happen. Natsu, Lisana, Urza, and Mira are taken hostage, but Mira pretty much busts herself out. So do Natsu and Lisana, who are placed in the cell together. Then Urza manages to break out, like killing the monster that was torturing her, and meanwhile, while Natsu is going off against some grunts, Zeref comes to talk to him and introduces and says, "Welcome to Tartaros, what I like to call the Library of Zeref," which is actually kind of a cool thing. But yeah, they talk for a bit, but yeah. It's revealed like the master of Tartaros is apparently a demon called END. Though the one who's really pulling the strings is a guy named Mardgeir, who's voiced by Vic Mignogna in the dub, so he's great. So, yeah, and then, yeah, but END, as far as we know, is just a book. It's just a book that Mardgeir just kind of holds on to religiously. So, yeah, then, lots of stuff happens. Urza's fighting Kyoka, aka the demon that was basically torturing her. Then it's revealed. I mean, it's probably revealed by this point, but what Face does, the thing that requires the body link magic things, and they've figured out a way around it, and you know it's about to activate in like 5 minutes or something like that. But what Face does is it neutralizes magic. So yeah, it's fun. It like in a countrywide scale basically. So, and since demons of the Book of Zeref use curses and not magic, they won't be affected by Face. So yeah, that's fun. So yeah, then so Wendy goes to try and shut it off, or at least destroy Face at least, and comes across Ezel, like another one of the demons, and manages using the magic particles that were just condensed around Face, she enters Dragon Force, and it's awesome, and she obliterates Ezel. But yeah, then they manage to destroy Face, but yeah, and they're saved at the last minute by a Mast who comes in and scoops them up and gets them out of there. Then but man, it was a scary moment. We actually thought Wendy and Carla were going to die for a minute there. So yeah, then Mira Jane defeats her demon with help of Elfman, and let's see, what other demons are we facing? Let's see, I don't really think any other demons are being faced right now, or at least not that I can remember. And Mardgeir decides to activate this spell called Allegria, or Allegria, whatever. I called it Allegria because that just sounds better to me. So yeah, basically traps everyone in Fairy Tail in this red goo stuff, and it looks like Fairy Tail's basically been defeated, except there was one exception, one person who managed to escape it, and that's Lucy. And this is one of Lucy's big shining moments. She doesn't get a whole lot of them, but she gets a lot of them. But she gets quite a number of them. So, man, I am under the curse of contradiction today, aren't I? So, yeah, that's the curse Zeref has, by the way. Well, whatever. So, so yeah, then, she manages to open 3 gates at the same time, which is something that usually kills Celestial Wizards because they don't have nearly enough magic to do, but she manages to gather enough magic and, do it, and And basically, in order to save everyone, she has to summon the Celestial Spirit King, and yeah, and but in order to do that, it's a one-time thing. She has to break one of her keys to do it, and because she loves every single one of the celestial spirits she has, she can't bring it. She can't really bring herself to do it at first. But Aquarius, who's been basically a tsundere friend this entire time, basically finally convinces her to do it with her key, and so that's what happens. And Lucy sacrifices Aquarius's key to summon the king, and the king just goes and basically blows a hole through the giant cube and takes on Mardgeir by himself, and even seems to be kind of winning, even though it kind of looks like Mardgeir's winning. The Celestial Spirit King's barely getting us taking, barely breaking a sweat. So yeah, but at the end of the day, it does require magic to, keep the Celestial Spirit King there. So meanwhile, while Lucy basically, with the help of her new power, which is basically a star dress, and she gets Aquarius' star dress, and she takes out Jackal for the last time. Then the king, when he's running out of time in the real world, he with the one last act, he deactivates Allegria and frees everybody. And so they're each fighting their own demons now. Let's see, Natsu and Gajiel are fighting the demon that Loxus had faced off against. I forgot to mention that this whole revival chamber that Mira destroyed when she fought her demon. And then yeah, it was that guy. Yeah, but yeah, Gajiel and Natsu fight that guy. Juvia takes on a demon called Keys. He's a necromancer guy, and with no real physical form. And then Gray fights a guy named Silver. And apparently Silver looks an awful lot like Gray's dead dad. Which he is, actually. And there's one more thing I forgot to mention. Minerva's now part of this guild, as a kind of an experiment that Tartaros did. Because Minerva was back in the Sun Village arc, but, with her own guild. But then Tartaros came along and kidnapped her, and now Minerva's kind of hell-bent on a path of, killing Urza. So, yeah, and we learned about Minerva's past and how messed up it was. When you have a dad like Giemma, who's basically a totalitarian, that tends to happen. So, yeah, it's, yeah. So, yeah, then Sting and Rogue came in to help because, apparently, Fairy Tail had sent off a request for aid from them. And, yeah. So, And so Minerva's brought to the light. She's actually a good guy now. And I guess it kind of makes sense, but at the same time, I just couldn't help but go, man, Mashima really, really does like going, you'll get a redemption arc to his female villains. So, yeah. Then, apparently, Silver is Silver Filibuster, aka Gray's dead dad, who's being, or at least his body, who's being currently possessed by Deliora, who had been revived in the revival machine that Tartaros had. So, yeah. So Gray fights him and manages to kill him, or at least, blow a hole through his chest, but, that never works in anime. So, and then it's revealed, no, that's not Deliora, that's Gray's dead dad, who's revived by Keys, the necromancer that Juvia is fighting. And it's just a sad, sad moment. And, Juvia's convinced by Gray's dad to kill Keys, and thus, it would kill Silver in the process. And yeah, it's quite the thing. It's quite the spectacle. Then let's see, one of the demons who has control over like a water kind of magic, I guess. He's part fish-like. He's fish-like himself. Then Gagio fights him with the help of Levi. Levi gives him air. You know how. So, then, yeah, like, manages to kill that guy with, steel, from turning his iron to steel and all that, because there's carbon in the water, apparently. And so, with all that gone, then there's the guy who had taken out Loxus previously, but then Loxus, comes back with all the strength he can really muster, and manages to take out the demon again. But as this demon's about to, self-destruct and, unleash Bane particles, Gray comes in, because Silver's whole shtick was that he uses Ice Demon Slayer magic, and the reason why he chose that magic was because he believed it could fight off E&D, who's apparently a fire demon. So, yeah. So he gives that magic to Gray in his last moments, and now that Gray's an Ice Demon Slayer magic, he uses Ice Demon Slayer magic, he cleans house. He freezes basically all the Bane particles in the air, and, kills them all. So, yeah. Oh boy, and now, we have Margeir, who's oh wait, no. We still have Kyoka, Urza's whole, demon opponent. And, yeah, then... Yeah, and, Urza manages to kill her, but not before, we get to Urza, one of Urza's second most insane feat. We'll get to the first next time. Basically, this female demon, she cut off 4 of Urza's senses of sight, hearing, smell, and taste. She kept the sense of touch, but amplified it to the point where a gust of wind, like a small breeze, just feels like blades cutting into your skin. And how does Urza get out of this? By feeling where the pain hurts most. Oh, that's where she is, and then proceeds to beat Kyoka down with her bare fists. It's great. It's not completely out of bounds of what Urza could be capable of, but, it's still freaking insane. So, yeah. Then, now we go back to Margeir, who, well, technically, yes, but apparently Giemma, the former master of Sabretooth, yeah, he was kicked out after the whole Eclipse Celestial Spirit, the whole, Eclipse Gate fiasco at the end of the Grand Magic Games, or at least he had disappeared and Sting had taken over as master. So, yeah, then, Sting and Rogue take on this newly revived Giemma who had thrown away his humanity, but, I'm throwing away at my humanity, JoJo, and all that. I had to get one JoJo reference in there somewhere, but, yeah, then, they manage to take him down, and then, comes down to Margeir, and while they're fighting, Natsu's stomach starts glowing, and out of him and all the other Dragon Slayers pop their dragons! They're all their respective dragons. Igneal, Metallicana, Grandini, Weislogia, whoever Rogues was, I can't remember that one, but yeah, then it's revealed that it was a part of a whole elaborate plan to take down Acnologia whenever he appears. Oh yeah, Acnologia appears. I forgot to mention that. Because he always appears where chaos always appears. So, and this always seems to happen. So yeah, now that all these dragons are here. Oh, and by the way, Face, remember that? We thought Wendy destroyed it? No, that's not the case. Well, technically, yes. She only destroyed one Face, though. There are literal thousands of them. So everyone's wondering, okay, what the heck are we gonna do? But when the dragons appear, they do everyone a favor and take all of them out. While Igneal takes on Acnologia and Natsu takes on Margeir. So yeah, during this fight Natsu and Gray team up, and with Gray's Ice Demon Slayer magic, it becomes relative ease. They pretty easily take down Margeir. They don't kill him quite yet, but But then Zeref shows up and and basically picks up turns Mardgear back into a book and burns it. So, Zeref did the job for them, for unknown means, but really, I think it's kind of a curse of contradiction thing where Mardgear knew that Zeref's ultimate goal was for E&D to grow powerful enough to, for E&D to kill Zeref, because Zeref just wants to end this whole curse thing and hopes that E&D can do it. But yeah, it's quite a thing. So yeah. And meanwhile, Ignil's fighting Acnologia, and in the process, in the final blow, Ignil and Acnologia swoop at each other, and Ignil manages to bite onto Acnologia's arm and rip it off. And meanwhile, Acnologia takes everything else. Yeah, he completely blows through Ignil's torso, basically. And yeah, Natsu has a final farewell with Ignil, and it's sad because Ignil's dead now. Natsu's whole goal this entire time, this whole side quest this entire time was finding his dad. Or maybe that was his main quest and everything else was a side quest. Yeah, but his main quest that he's constantly reminded to do throughout the entire series is to find his dad, and he finally finds him, gets him back for a good 15 minutes, and then Ignil dies. So yeah, and so yeah, it's that's what happens. So yeah, then it's revealed that the dragons had locked themselves up into their respective dragon slayers for all these years for the purpose of killing Acnologia, but obviously that didn't work out. So, but yeah, they really expended all the energy they had left to do it, and so they soon disappear. But at least they had heartfelt farewells with their dragon slayers, unlike Ignil, who was lying dead and bleeding. So yeah. And so meanwhile, with the Face and Eclipse cannon, I forgot to mention that one back in the Tower of Heaven, but yeah, with those two now destroyed, Makarov decides, okay, time to disband Fairy Tail. What? I'll explain it next time, but he has a good reason for it, don't worry. But yeah, then let's see, Fairy Tail's disbanded. Lucy, Natsu pretty much abandons everyone because he didn't know Fairy Tail was being disbanded, and to go off for a year to train and be stronger. So yeah, then yeah, it's quite the thing. So, and he does indeed come back stronger, much stronger, in fact. But yeah, then that's kind of how it ends, how this next thing ends, and that's where I'm gonna end this review. Basically, the Fairy Tail Guild is disbanded, and Natsu and Happy are gone off on a 1-year training trip, and who knows what everyone else is going to do, and that's where I'm going to end it. Even though there is zero. Oh wait, no, there's one more thing I forgot to mention. I nearly forgot. It's at the end of it all, once the credits roll, Zeref kind of looks out a window and says, "I look forward to seeing you again, Natsu." Or should I say, Aetherius Natsu Dragneel. END. So yeah, that's fun. So yeah, yeah, there's where I'm gonna end the review, because next, so stay tuned for next time, where I'm going to be covering Zero, Avatar, the Alvarez Empire, and just overall thoughts, basically. And yeah, to sum up, the second series of arcs, I think is the best and simultaneously the worst, simply because Eclipse Celestial Spirit exists. So yeah. Otherwise, Grand Magic Games is still the second best arc. Tartaros is the best arc, and Key of the Starry Sky, while it is filler and I'm not too big of a fan of it, is still the best filler arc. Probably because Mashima himself was overlooking it. So yeah. So yeah, that's really all I can say to that. So stay tuned for the third part third part later on today, and the full thing tomorrow when I'm done editing it, because I'm going to edit this entire thing, believe it or not. So yeah, I'm gonna put in pictures and stuff like that. So yeah, I got nothing else to say, so I'm just gonna end the video here. So yeah, till next time, guys. See ya.